Hi guys, Miss Farmer here. So today we're going to talk about standards 16 and 17, solving one-step inequalities. We are going to be solving inequalities using addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division today. We're going to start off by talking about all the different types of inequality symbols. So there are 4 inequality symbols that we will learn about today. The first one is the less than symbol. So this means that if you have a variable that said x is less than 3, x would be any number less than 3. So when we graph an inequality, we would be putting an open circle on our number line. So that's the important thing about less than, is that we'll have an open circle. And then we would shade to the left. So a lot of times I talk about in class that if you hold up your left hand, using your pointer finger and your thumb, you can make the shape of an L. And then if you close in your pointer finger just a little bit, you have your less than symbol. And so then I always talk to you guys about, if I put my left arm all the way out with our less than symbol, we would be graphing to the left, pointing towards the left. Another thing that you can think about that's not so complicated, and you don't really need Miss Farmer in front of you showing you, is to think about this as an arrow. So our inequality symbol is the tip of an arrow. If you drew a line in it, it would be pointing to the left. Okay, so let's go on to our next symbol. Greater than. So the greater than symbol is very similar when we graph it. We are still going to have an open circle, but instead of graphing it or shading it to the left, you will shade to the right for greater than. Our next symbol is less than or equal to. So if you notice something about this symbol, it has a little bit extra to it. So it's still the less than symbol, but it has half of an equal sign underneath of it. So that's where we get the equal to from. For this symbol, we're going to change our graphing technique a little bit. So we'll still point the same direction. So we'll still have our arrow or our shading going to the left, but instead of an open circle, we will represent this with a closed circle. So we fill it in. And the same thing's going to happen for this symbol here at the bottom. This is called the greater than or equal to symbol. So if we look at it, it still has the same inequality as the greater than, but we add in half of an equal sign. So that's how we get the or equal to. So we're going to graph in the same direction, an arrow or shading pointing to the right. But this time, instead of an open circle, we will have a closed circle. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go on to solving one-step inequalities. So solving a one-step inequality is very similar to solving a one-step equation. And you guys are all experts at solving one-step equations. So the important things to remember are the opposite operations or inverse operations. So if we have addition, the opposite would be subtraction. If we have subtraction, the opposite or inverse would be addition. The same thing goes for multiplication. If we have multiplication, the opposite or inverse would be division. And if we have division, the opposite or inverse would be multiplication. All right, so in this problem, the first thing you want to do is locate your variable. Remember that the variable is the letter in our inequality. So we are going to locate x as our variable. The next thing you want to do is look and see what number is on the same side as our variable. And that number on example 1 is -3. So the opposite or inverse of -3 would be +3. So we are going to add 3 to both sides of our inequality. So far we located our variable, we determined what operation we currently had in our inequality, and then identified the inverse operation. So we're going to go ahead and continue our problem by doing our addition problem. So -3 or -3 plus 3 cancels out and gives us 0. We bring down our variable x, we bring down our inequality symbol, and then we complete 4 plus 3. And we can type that in our calculator or use our mental math and know that 4 plus 3 is 7. Okay, so it is time to graph our inequality. And our inequality is saying x is less than 7. So x could be any number less than 7. So we need to find 7 on our number line. And we need to make an open circle at 7. So find 7, we make an open circle. And then we are going to shade or draw our arrow to all the numbers lower than 7 or less than 7. So we are going to shade to the left. All right, very good. So we have 3 more examples to cover. We're going to go ahead and move on to example 2. Example 2 says y plus 5 is greater than 10. We are going to start this problem the same, and we are going to locate our variable first. So the first thing you're going to do is locate your variable. For example 2, that is y. The number on this same side of the inequality as the variable is plus 5. So our inverse operation would be minus 5. We complete the subtraction problem. So a positive 5 minus 5 will give us 0. So they will cancel out. We bring down our variable y. We bring down our inequality symbol. And then we complete 10 minus 5. We complete this using our mental math or our calculator. It's always good to check ourselves. So 10 minus 5 will give us 5. All right, so our final solution says that y is greater than 5. So that means that any number larger than 5 or greater than 5 could be y. So when we graph using the greater than symbol, we know that we have an open circle. So we find the number 5 on our number line, put an open circle, and then we are going to shade to the right. So remember our tips for remembering which way to shade. We can make an arrow out of our inequality symbol, and it's pointing to the right. All right, sorry if you guys hear my dogs in the background. They're kind of noisy back there. But we are almost done. We have 2 examples left. So this is our third example. And it says 2x is greater than or equal to 6. And since we are in Algebra 1, we have learned that when a number is right next to a variable, that means the current operation is multiplication. So the opposite would be division. So we need to go ahead and divide both sides of our inequality by 2. When we do 2 divided by 2, we get 1. And then we can bring down our x. We can also bring down our inequality symbol, which is greater than or equal to. And then we complete our division problem of 6 divided by 2. And that gives us 3. Notice that our inequality symbol now has part of an equal sign underneath of it. That means that we need to change our graph a little bit. So instead of having an open circle on our graph, we will now have a closed circle. So locate the number 3 on your number line and put a closed circle there. And then we're going to look at our inequality symbol, pretend that it's an arrow, and it's going to tell us to shade to the right. So you can either draw your straight line, or when I say shade, you can make a little squiggly line with an arrow at the end. to show which direction we are graphing. All right, this is our last example for the night. You guys have done a great job hanging with me for this 10 minutes, and this will probably take us just about 1 more minute. So hang with me. Good job. All right, example 4. Example 4 says y divided by 2 is less than or equal to 1. So the key word I said was divide. The opposite of division, we all know as awesome and amazing Algebra 1 students, the opposite of division is multiplication. So we need to start off by multiplying both sides of our inequality by the number we were dividing by. So we are going to multiply both sides by 2. So we put our little dot for multiplication. So we're multiplying both sides by 2. The left side of our inequality will cancel and we'll bring down our variable. We will also bring down our inequality symbol, and then we will complete the multiplication problem of 2 times 1. Using mental math or your calculator, do that now. I came up with the answer of 2. So our last step for the night is to graph this on our number line. So again, notice we have half of an equal sign underneath our inequality. So this means that we need to have a closed circle at the number 2. So find 2 on your inequality, or on your number line, and put a closed circle there. We will then also remember that our inequality symbol kind of looks like an arrow. So this is going to tell us that we need to shade or draw our line to the left. So we're drawing our line, or you can draw a little squiggly line for shading all the way to the left. Alrighty guys, so that is all I have for you tonight, and I will see you tomorrow.